Chosen one. Listen carefully. Heaven has paused everything around you just to whisper this truth into your spirit. You are not here by coincidence. You are not a passerby scrolling without reason. Every beat of your heart, every breath you take, has been woven into the tapestry of eternity. From before your first cry was heard in this world, your name was inscribed into God's divine script. That is why you feel the weight. That is why you cannot shake the sense that there is something more. You are not like the rest. You are marked, set apart, chosen. Think of the way a diamond is hidden in the earth, buried deep under layers of dust and rock. For years it looks like nothing, yet inside it carries the brilliance to outshine everything around it. That is you. For too long you have been covered, overlooked, misunderstood. But heaven has been refining you in silence. Every hidden season has been polishing your edges for the moment you would emerge. And that moment is near. You have felt it, haven't you? The restless stirring in your soul, the sense that tomorrow will not look like yesterday. You've endured nights that seemed endless, carrying burdens no one saw. Others thought you were weak because you did not fight the way they expected. But what they did not know is that you were in the secret place with God, training in silence. You were being armed with strength this world cannot measure. The ancient words recorded in the book of Haggai, chapter 2, verse 9. The glory of this present house will be greater than the glory of the former. Chosen one. This is not poetic talk. It is your reality. You are about to rise with strength that will shock even you. Where others stumbled, you will run. Where others collapsed, you will stand. Where others saw dead ends, you will see open doors. Let me tell you the story of another chosen one. For years, she carried dreams that seemed delayed. Every prayer felt like it was hitting the ceiling. People mocked her for waiting, saying, "If your God was with you, why are you still here?" But she held on. One ordinary morning, without warning, the answer came. A single phone call changed everything. Years of waiting collapsed into one day of favor. That is how God works. He allows the waiting so that when breakthrough comes, no one can deny it was His hand. That same miracle rhythm is about to play in your life. You may feel like you are still in the waiting, but tomorrow carries something different. Your name is being whispered in rooms you have never entered. Doors are being prepared that no man can shut. Angels are moving on assignment, and you are at the center of it. Imagine a chessboard. Every move looks small, every piece shifting quietly. Yet one sudden move changes the entire game. That is where you stand, right before the decisive moment. Heaven has already positioned the pieces, and the next shift is for your victory. Chosen one, I need you to recognize the urgency. Too often you've thought, maybe later, maybe another time, maybe I'm not ready. But heaven says the delay is over. Tomorrow is not just another day on the calendar, it is the doorway to transformation. When you wake, the atmosphere around you will carry a new weight, a new alignment, a new flow. This is why I urge you, do not take this lightly. Lean in, lift your heart, respond, because what you do now determines how ready you are when the miracle arrives. If you scroll away, you risk missing the moment heaven prepared. But if you pose, if you receive, if you align, then tomorrow you will not just hear about miracles, you will walk in one. Chosen one. You have survived the wilderness, and now you are standing on the edge of the promised land. You are about to see what eyes have not seen and what ears have not heard. You are about to live what you only dreamed. Heaven's clock has struck early on your behalf, and nothing will stop what is about to unfold. Now hear me. If this word touches your spirit, do not stay silent. Lift your voice in agreement. Share this word so that another chosen one might be awakened. And subscribe to stay aligned with the flow of what heaven continues to release. And finally, mark this moment. Seal it in faith. Comment below with the number 444 as your declaration that you receive this early miracle and that tomorrow everything changes. You have always known deep inside that you were marked by destiny. It was not something you could explain to everyone, even as a child. There were moments where you felt different, as if a hand larger than your own was guiding you. While others were content to live without questioning, you often asked yourself why your heart longed for something greater, why you could not simply blend in. That inner restlessness was not an accident. It was the fingerprint of God reminding you that your story was written long before you stepped onto this earth. From the very beginning, you carried signs that you were set apart. People around you may not have recognized it, but the heavens did. Your voice, your vision, your very being has been divinely designed to carry what others cannot. That is why life has felt heavier for you. The same storms that others could shrug off seemed to test you more deeply. The challenges that left others unaffected pierced you to the core, not because you were weaker, but because you were being forged in a different fire. Think of the way an arrow must be pulled backward before it is released. The tension of being drawn back is uncomfortable, even painful. But it is only through that backward pull that the arrow gains the force to soar far ahead. That is what has been happening to you. The pressure, the waiting, the setbacks, they were never punishment. They were the pull before the release. Even the people who walked away were part of the preparation. If they had stayed, they might have kept you tied to where you no longer belonged. God allowed certain connections to fade because they could not travel to the next chapter with you. You were never meant to remain in the ordinary. The calling on your life required separation. You are like oil and water. You cannot mix with what was never meant to define you. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Hosea. Chapter 6, verse 1. Come, let us return to the Lord. He has torn us to pieces, but He will heal us. He has injured us, but He will bind up our wounds. Chosen one. Those words are for you. The tearing was not to destroy you. It was to shape you. The breaking was not the end. It was the preparation. Every wound, every scar, every disappointment has been marked by heaven for healing. You will not remain in pieces. You are being restored. There was once a young man who spent years feeling invisible. He worked in hidden places, caring for responsibilities no one honored. His family did not believe in him. His community dismissed him. Yet one day, a divine moment came. Oil was poured over his head, and he was anointed king. The same people who overlooked him had to watch as God elevated him. That young man was David. His story echoes in yours. You may have been hidden, underestimated, even rejected. But the oil of destiny has always been waiting for you. You see, chosen ones often live through contradictions. On the outside, everything looks ordinary. But inside, there is a fire that refuses to die. You can try to silence it, but it always returns. You can try to ignore it, but it always burns louder. That fire is purpose, and it cannot be put out. Imagine a seed planted deep in the ground. For months, no one sees it. Rain falls, sun shines, but from the surface, it looks like nothing is happening. Yet under the soil, roots are spreading. Life is forming. Then, suddenly, it breaks through the dirt and reaches toward the sky. That is you. For years, you were hidden in the soil. People may have thought nothing was happening. But tomorrow, you are about to break through. Do not despise the seasons of obscurity, because those were the seasons when God was protecting you. Had you been exposed too early, the weight of your calling might have crushed you. But now, the foundation has been laid. Your spirit has been strengthened. You are ready for the unveiling, chosen one. Understand this. The reason your journey has been so intense is because your destiny is extraordinary. Average battles are for average people. But you are not average. You are called, anointed, destined to carry light into darkness. And the greater the light, the fiercer the resistance. That is why the storms were heavy. That is why the nights felt endless. Not because God abandoned you, but because He was proving that you could stand. Your destiny is not a vague dream. It is written. It is sealed. It is waiting to unfold. And tomorrow marks the first page of that unfolding. You are about to witness the truth of what has always been whispered in your spirit, that you were chosen, set apart, and marked for glory. You have carried rejection like a shadow. It followed you into rooms where you tried to belong. It whispered. When you attempted to lift your head, you wondered why people walked away, why friendships faded, why support seemed scarce when you needed it most. Yet what looked like abandonment was in fact divine protection. God was removing what could not handle your future. Rejection is not the end of your story, it is the proof that you are chosen. Had you been ordinary, the world would have embraced you without hesitation. But because you carry a light that unsettles the darkness, the enemy tried to push you out, to convince you that you were unwanted. Do not be deceived. Your value was never measured by their approval. Think of clay in the hands of a potter. Before it becomes a vessel, it must be pressed, reshaped, and stretched. It looks messy, but it is necessary. That is what rejection has done. It has reshaped you, stretched you, refined you, and soon you will see that every no was guiding you toward God's greater yes. No. The writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 34, verse 18, remind us, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. No, chosen one. Every tear you shed in silence has been collected. Every night you felt unseen was recorded. Heaven has never ignored your pain. In fact, your tears have watered the very soil of your destiny. What looked like loss is birthing life. Let me share with you a story. There was once a young woman who dreamed of building something meaningful. Every door she knocked on closed. Friends who promised support disappeared. She felt unwanted, as if her life was one rejection after another. Yet, in her loneliness, she learned to lean fully on God. Years later, when her breakthrough came, it was so great that even her former doubters sought her wisdom. She realized the rejection was never a curse, it was a redirection. So too with you. The weight of rejection has carved resilience into your spirit. The silence of people has pushed you into the presence of God. You no longer stand fragile, you stand unshakable. What once broke you will now become your testimony. Imagine gold placed in the fire. The flames are harsh. The heat is unbearable. But the fire is not there to destroy. It is there to purify. That is you. Every season of being pushed aside was a fire, but it has only made you shine brighter. You have been misunderstood because you were never meant to fit in. You were born to stand apart. And tomorrow, the very people who doubted you will see the evidence of God's hand on your life. Rejection was not your ending, it was your refining. Now, I invite you to respond in faith. Write in the comments, "I rise again." Oh, do not see this as just words on a screen. It is a prophetic act. When you declare it, you align yourself with heaven's perspective. You are saying to the voices of rejection, "You did not bury me, you planted me." You are saying to your past, "I am no longer defined by what left me. I am defined by who chose me." Your declaration is more than a phrase. It is a seal that tomorrow will not mirror yesterday. Chosen one. The chapter of rejection is closing, and the chapter of restoration is opening. You will not remain broken-hearted. You will not remain forgotten. You will rise again, because the hand of God has marked you for more. Chosen one. Rejection was never the final stamp on your story. It was the ink God used to write a better chapter. Every time someone walked away, heaven whispered, "I am still with you." Every time you were pushed aside, heaven drew you closer. The rejection of men has only secured the acceptance of God. And listen carefully. Restoration is not just about being healed, it is about being established. What you lost will not return in the same form. Instead, it will come back, multiplied, purified, greater than before. This is the principle of the kingdom. Seeds must first fall into the ground before they bring a harvest. So take courage. Tomorrow will not echo the pain of yesterday. Tomorrow carries the sound of new beginnings. You are stepping into a season where rejection no longer defines you, but refines you into the vessel God destined you to be. When you declare, "I rise again," you are not speaking empty words. You are planting a flag of victory in the soil of your life. You are announcing to every force of darkness, "I am still here. I am still chosen. I am still destined for glory." Lamb, when darkness notices you, it does not remain silent. The reason you have faced unusual battles is not because you are cursed, but because your very presence unsettles the enemy. Darkness trembles at light, and whether you recognize it fully or not, you carry a light that cannot be extinguished. Think of walking into a room where all the lights have been turned off. The shadows stretch. The atmosphere feels heavy, and fear tries to linger. But the moment you strike even the smallest match, everything changes. Darkness does not argue. Darkness does not fight. It flees. That is what happens in the spirit when you step into places. The enemy recognizes the light you carry and scrambles to scatter. You have felt it before. Certain people became uneasy around you. Though you said nothing, atmospheres shifted the moment you entered. That is not coincidence, it is evidence. Your very existence disrupts what was once comfortable for darkness. Scripture records in the first letter of John, chapter 1, verse 5, God is light. In him there is no darkness at all. End 4. And because you are made in his image, that light dwells within you. The shadows of doubt, fear, and oppression have no claim over your spirit. You are not carrying borrowed light, you are carrying the very essence of God within you. But understand this truth: wherever light shines, resistance increases. Have you noticed how the battles intensified when you started pursuing God more seriously? It was not your imagination. It was warfare. The closer you walked toward your calling, the more threatened the enemy became. Like a cornered thief, he tried to intimidate you. Yet intimidation is all he has. He cannot extinguish what God has ordained. Imagine a lighthouse standing on a stormy coast. Waves crash. Winds howl. Rain strikes with violence. Yet no matter how fierce the storm, the lighthouse continues to shine. Its purpose is not to stop the storm, but to guide others safely through it. That is you. The storms have surrounded you, but they have not silenced your glow. In fact, the more intense the storm, the brighter your testimony becomes. There was once a young man who felt the heaviness of every step he took. Whenever he tried to rise, opposition seemed to come from nowhere. Friends turned against him. Opportunities slipped away. Peace felt fragile. He thought perhaps he was cursed. Until one day he realized, every time he pressed into prayer, the resistance grew stronger. That was the sign not that he was weak, but that he was effective. He understood then that darkness fights hardest where light shines brightest. So too, with you. You have been targeted because you are dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. Do not mistake the opposition as a sign of weakness. It is proof of your power. Picture fire entering a cold room. The atmosphere changes. Frost melts. Breath that once hung heavy in the air disappears. Fire cannot be ignored. In the same way, your presence shifts spiritual climates. You may not always see it, but the enemy does. That is why he has tried so hard to silence you, to distract you, to bury your confidence. Chosen one, there is something you must grasp. Light does not need permission to shine. It simply shines. You do not need to apologize for carrying the fire of God. You do not need to hide your glow to make others comfortable. You are not called to dim your flame. You are called to burn. And tomorrow marks a turning point. The battles that once exhausted you will begin to expose their weakness. What once drained you will no longer have the same grip. You are stepping into authority, realizing that the enemy's roar is only an echo of fear. The trembling is not yours. It belongs to the darkness. Remember how lions move in the wild. Their roar is powerful, but it is not the roar that kills it, it is the strength behind it. The enemy has tried to roar in your life, filling you with fear of what could happen. But in reality, his roar is hollow. He trembles at the authority you carry. The same power that raised Christ from the dead lives within you. That is why darkness cannot comprehend you. That is why attacks never fully broke you. That is why, even when you stumbled, you rose again. You are evidence that light wins. Chosen one. Tomorrow, the trembling of darkness will become undeniable. What once oppressed you will bow. What once resisted you will scatter, and you will stand, not as one barely surviving, but as one blazing with unstoppable light. Chosen one. Tomorrow unlocks the shift. The season of waiting is giving way to manifestation. The heaviness you've carried for years is not wasted. It has prepared the ground for a sudden move of God. And when that shift happens, it will feel as though everything changes overnight. There is a rhythm in heaven, and you are about to step into it. For too long, you've walked in delay, doors half open, promises half fulfilled. But tomorrow, that rhythm accelerates. The ground beneath your feet will feel different. As though every step you take lands on territory heaven has already claimed for you. Think of a seed that has been buried underground for weeks, for months. It looks lifeless. People walk over the soil and see nothing. Yet beneath the surface, roots have been forming. Life has been stirring. Then suddenly, one morning, the soil cracks and a green shoot rises. It does not apologize for breaking through. It simply emerges because its time has come. That is you. And tomorrow, your soil cracks open. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Habakkuk. Chapter 2, verse 3. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. Oh, chosen one, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is choosing to believe God's timing is perfect. Even when your eyes see only delay, as you step into tomorrow's shift, you will realize you were never walking alone. Every lonely night, every unanswered question, He was with you. His presence will be your assurance as the change unfolds. Now, hear this carefully. When the shift comes, it is not just about you. It is about the countless lives connected to your obedience. Light does not shine only for itself. It shines so others can see. Your breakthrough becomes a beacon. Your miracle becomes a testimony that awakens others. That is the true purpose of the shift. Not only to change your tomorrow, but to inspire change in the lives of those around you. And this is where I want to pause and speak heart to heart. If this word has been touching your spirit, if you felt the presence of God stirring as you listen, then I invite you to partner with this work. Sharing, subscribing, and even supporting through giving is never a condition. It is never forced. It is simply a way of keeping the light burning so more chosen ones like you can be reached. Think of it like oil in a lamp. The flame can only keep shining if the oil is replenished. Each act of support, whether you press like, share this message, subscribe, or choose to donate, is a drop of oil. It keeps the fire alive, and that fire travels farther than you realize. Someone you've never met may stumble across this word tomorrow and find the courage to keep living, simply because you helped keep the flame burning. There is beauty in voluntary giving. No one is standing over you, demanding. This is not about pressure, it is about freedom. Just as the sun does not ask permission to rise, generosity flows best when it rises willingly from the heart. If you feel led, let your support be like sunlight breaking through a cloudy morning, natural, warm, unstoppable. But whether you give or not, the love of God over you does not change. His promises do not expire. His hand over your life is not for sale. It is a gift, sealed from eternity. Support is simply an invitation to partner with the mission, not a condition for the miracle. And when you like this message, when you share it, when you subscribe, you are not just pressing a button, you are extending the ripple. You are making sure this word travels to someone else standing on the edge of giving up. And if you decide to donate, see it not as money leaving your hand, but as seed entering eternal soil. Seeds never return the same. They always multiply. So take this moment in freedom. Respond in the way your spirit feels led. And know this, whatever you choose, heaven sees. Heaven honors. and heaven is preparing your tomorrow. Chosen one. The shift is already in motion. By the time you open your eyes tomorrow, you will sense it. The atmosphere will not feel the same. The weight of waiting will lift, and the momentum of heaven will carry you forward. No force of darkness can hold back what God has already released. Your tomorrow is marked, sealed, and waiting. Step into it with courage. Step into it with expectation. Step into it with joy, knowing the soil has cracked and your miracle has begun to rise. There are moments when heaven releases a sign, so you will not mistake what is coming. It may be subtle, like a whisper stirring your spirit, or bold, like a door opening that no man could force. In either form, the sign comes as confirmation that you are standing on holy ground. Moments away from breakthrough, you may have asked yourself, God, is this really for me? Am I truly chosen, or am I imagining what I feel? Doubt creeps in, not because you lack faith, but because the weight of waiting has stretched your heart, and yet, heaven never leaves you wandering. A sign always comes to remind you that His promises are not empty. Chosen one. What you are about to witness is more than coincidence. It is divine orchestration. Nothing in your journey has been random. Even the delays were designed. Even the closed doors carried purpose. And now, the sign is being placed before you to say, yes, this word is yours. Yes, this miracle is near. Now, the scriptures declare in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 31, verse 6, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. No, this verse is not just ancient ink on parchment. It is heaven's current for your life. Every step you take into tomorrow is accompanied. You will not face what's ahead alone. The same God who was with you in the shadows will be with you in the unveiling. Think of a traveler guided through the desert by a star. To others, the night sky looks like a scatter of lights. But to the traveler, one star stands out as direction. That is what signs from heaven are like. To others, they may look ordinary, but to the chosen, they become guidance. And that is what tomorrow will bring, a light pointing you forward. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who felt he had missed his chance. He had prayed for years, but nothing seemed to change. One night, in frustration, he whispered, God, if you still hear me, show me. The next morning, as he walked to work, he saw a mural painted on a wall with the exact words he had prayed. His heart broke open. God had not been silent. He had been listening all along. That small sign carried him through the next season, and shortly after, the very miracle he waited for appeared. Your story echoes his. You may feel forgotten, but heaven is already arranging the signs of confirmation. Look closely, because God is not only moving in the big, He is speaking in the details. Imagine a musician tuning an instrument before a performance. Each string must be adjusted until it resonates with the right sound. That is what God has been doing in your life, fine-tuning, aligning, preparing. And when the performance begins, you will realize every small adjustment was worth it. Chosen one. This is the season to be attentive. The sign may not come in the way you expect, but it will be undeniable when you see it. It might be a conversation, a dream, a sudden opportunity, or even this very word, What matters is not how it appears, but that it confirms heaven has not forgotten you. And here is your part. Respond. Do not let the sign pass without recognition. Lift your spirit. Acknowledge the message. Align your steps. Faith is not passive, it is active. When heaven sends confirmation, your response is the seal that says, I receive. End of 4. Now, I invite you to do something simple yet prophetic. Comment below the number 888. This number carries a message of new beginnings, divine completion, and fresh cycles ordained by heaven. It is more than digits, it is a declaration. By writing 888, you are saying, I accept the new chapter. I welcome the sign. I step boldly into the tomorrow God has prepared for me. Oh, think of it as planting a flag in the ground. It is your way of saying, this word belongs to me. This promise is mine. Heaven sees such declarations. Because they are not typed casually, they are confessions of faith, spoken into eternity. So, as tomorrow rises, watch carefully. Look for the signs. However small they may seem, they are not random. They are divine fingerprints, scattered along your path to remind you. You are chosen. You are guided. You are not forgotten. The sign is already here. Step forward in confidence. For the one who called you has never left your side. Mercy has been the invisible hand holding you all this time. When you think back on your journey, there were moments you almost gave up. Moments when despair nearly consumed you. Moments when you thought, this is the end. And yet, somehow, you are still here. That is not coincidence, it is mercy. Mercy is the reason the door never fully closed on your life. Mercy is the reason the mistakes you thought would destroy you did not. Mercy is the reason you can stand today and even dare to dream of tomorrow. If justice had spoken alone, you would not have survived. But mercy leaned in and said, not yet. This one is chosen. This one still has a future. Undo. Scripture reminds us in the book of Lamentations, chapter 3, verses 22 to 23. Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. And no, those words are not distant. They are the testimony of your own life. Every morning you woke up despite the heaviness. Every morning you opened your eyes despite the battles. Every morning you carried on despite the weight. That was mercy. Think of a candle flickering in the wind. The flame bends. It shakes. It looks as if it might go out, but then it steadies again. That is your story. The winds of life blew hard, but mercy kept your flame alive. Even when your faith felt fragile, even when your strength was drained, mercy stood between you and the darkness. There was once a man who nearly drowned in the weight of his mistakes. He had fallen so far, he thought there was no way back. But one night, in his desperation, he cried out, God, if you still want me, show me. Instead of judgment, he found peace washing over him. The next morning, opportunities began to open, and slowly his life rebuilt. He realized then, mercy was greater than his failure. His story did not end where shame tried to write its final line. And this is true for you. The failures, the regrets, the wrong turns, they do not cancel your destiny. Mercy has covered them. rewriting the narrative. You are not defined by the moments you fell. You are defined by the God who lifted you. Imagine a battlefield after the war. Smoke rises. Debris scatters the ground, and silence hangs heavy. It looks like nothing can live there again. But then, days later, you notice small green shoots breaking through the soil. Life has returned where death seemed final. That is mercy. It breathes life where everything else spoke of endings. Chosen one. Understand this clearly. Mercy has been the shield between you and destruction. When the enemy thought he had you cornered, mercy stepped in. When guilt tried to chain you down, mercy unlocked the door. When your own strength was gone, mercy carried you forward. It is easy to look at your scars and think they disqualify you, but in reality, they qualify you for greater grace. Those scars tell the story not of defeat, but of survival. They remind you that you walked through the fire and were not consumed. You passed through the waters and were not drowned. Mercy wrote your survival into the script. Even now, mercy is making way for your tomorrow. The shift that is about to take place is not because you earned it. It is because God delights in showing kindness to those He loves. Mercy bends the timeline, accelerates the promise, and ensures that what should have taken years will come swiftly. Do not despise the wounds that brought you here. They have become the places where mercy has written its testimony. Your brokenness became the canvas for God's compassion. Without the breaking, you would not have seen the healing. Without the falling, you would not have experienced the lifting. Mercy has transformed what could have been your ending into the very reason you rise again. And tomorrow, when the change begins, you will see mercy's hand more clearly than ever. Opportunities you thought were lost will reappear. Strength you thought had vanished will return. Hope you thought had died will rise again. Chosen one. Your survival is not ordinary. You are walking evidence that mercy is stronger than judgment, stronger than failure, stronger than despair. And because mercy has carried you this far, mercy will carry you into the miracle that is waiting. You will not just step into tomorrow, you will step in renewed, restored, and redefined by the compassion of God that never fails. Right before the dawn, the night grows its darkest. This is the final distraction, the last attempt of the enemy to keep you from stepping into your breakthrough. It is not strange that lately the battles have felt heavier, the delays sharper, and the distractions louder. These are not signs that you are far from your promise. They are proof that you are close. Think of a runner who sees the finish line ahead. Muskeln, lungspurn. The body screams to quit. But that is the point where victory is closest. The pressure does not mean failure. It means arrival. In the same way, the weight of your current battles is not a curse. It is the resistance that comes right before the release. The scriptures remind us in the book of James, chapter 1, verse 12, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love Him." End quote. Chosen one. Your perseverance is not wasted. Every distraction you have overcome, every temptation you resisted, every tear you wiped away has been storing a reward in heaven's treasury. You are not fighting aimlessly, you are fighting for a crown. Consider how distractions often appear. They rarely come in obvious ways. Instead, they disguise themselves as opportunities, as relationships, as shortcuts. They appeal to your impatience, hoping to lure you away from God's timeline. But their purpose is always the same: to drain your focus, to steal your peace, and to slow your steps just before breakthrough. There was once a young man who prayed for guidance. He longed for success. But just before the right door opened, another opportunity came: bigger pay, quicker results, louder promises. It looked perfect, but in his spirit, he felt unsettled. He paused, chose to wait, and within weeks, the true opportunity came, one that aligned with his calling and sustained him for years. Looking back, he realized the first option was only a distraction. You may recognize this pattern in your own life. The closer you get to destiny, the more distractions appear. They tug at your energy, hoping to exhaust you, so you settle for less. But you were not chosen for less. You were chosen for the fullness of God's promise. Imagine a sculptor chiseling away at a block of stone. Each strike seems destructive, yet with every chip, the masterpiece takes shape. The stone could think, "I am being destroyed," but in truth, it is being revealed. That is your current season. The pressures, the distractions, the noise, they are not ending you. They are shaping you, refining you, revealing what has been inside you all along. Chosen one. This is why discernment is vital. Not everything that looks good is from God. Not every voice speaking to you carries truth. The final distraction often comes dressed in light, but its fruit exposes its nature. You will know it not by how it appears, but by what it produces in your spirit. Does it bring peace or confusion, clarity or chaos, growth or compromise? The enemy does not waste energy on the ordinary. He fights hardest against those who carry extraordinary destiny. The fact that you have felt the intensity of distraction lately is not proof of weakness, it is proof of value. Darkness trembles at your future, so it throws everything it can to keep you from stepping forward. But here is what you must remember. Distraction only has power if you give it your attention. Like waves crashing against a cliff, it may roar loudly, but it cannot move the rock unless the rock itself crumbles. You are that rock, grounded in God's word. You will not be moved. The final distraction is a signpost. It means you are at the edge of your miracle. It means tomorrow is not just another day, it is the threshold of fulfillment. Hold steady. Keep your focus. Guard your heart. There is a strength in silence. Not every battle requires your reaction. Sometimes the greatest victory is refusing to be pulled away. The enemy thrives on attention. Starve him by staying fixed on God. Lift your eyes, because the distraction will soon fade, but the promise will remain. Chosen one. The crown does not belong to those who gave in at the last mile. It belongs to those who endured, and you are among them. Tomorrow, when the shift arrives, you will look back and see that the distractions which once tried to break you became proof that you were already standing at the doorway of destiny. You are closer than you think. The night is nearly over. The dawn is already breaking. The crown awaits you. It has always been set aside, preserved, and guarded for the moment when you would be ready to wear it. This crown is not made of earthly jewels that fade. It is the mark of heaven's recognition, the testimony of your perseverance, the symbol of victory over every trial that tried to break you. Chosen one. You have walked through fire and did not burn away. You have faced floods and did not drown. The fact that you are still standing is evidence that your crown has been waiting, for the crown is not given at the beginning of the race, but at the end. And now, you stand at the threshold of reward. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, first book, chapter 9, verse 25. Everyone who competes in the games goes into strict training. They do it to get a crown that will not last. But we do it to get a crown that will last forever. This crown is not for appearance. It is for identity. It declares to the heavens and the earth that you belong to the King, that you have overcome, that you are clothed in glory. No darkness can steal. Think of a warrior returning from battle. His armor bears scratches. His body carries scars. But his eyes shine with the fire of victory. When the crown is placed on his head, no one doubts his strength. For it is proven. That is you. The scars you carry are not shame. They are evidence. Every rejection, every tear, every struggle has been shaping you for this honor. There was once a woman who thought her story was over. She had lost everything and felt stripped of her identity. But as the years passed, she clung to faith, even when it hurt. And in due season, God restored her, not just with blessings, but with influence. People who once doubted her came to her for wisdom. She realized then that her crown was not about wealth, but about authority. An authority born from endurance. So it is with you. Your crown is not a decoration, it is empowerment. It gives you the authority to walk boldly into your destiny, to stand firm when storms rise, to shine when darkness presses in. It is not only about being chosen, it is about living chosen. Imagine a tree that has survived countless winters. Its bark is rough, its branches weathered, yet when spring comes, it blooms brighter than the young trees around it. Why? Because its roots run deeper. That is your spirit. The winters you endured have deepened your roots. And your crown is the blossom that announces your survival. Chosen one. The time has come to lift your head. No more bowing under the weight of shame. No more hiding behind fear. The crown cannot rest on a lowered head. Lift it high, because heaven is ready to place what has always been yours. Now, pause for a moment and seal this truth with your declaration. In the comments, write, "I claim my crown." End of quote. These 4 words are more than a sentence. They are a prophetic act. By typing them, you are saying, "I will not shrink back. I will not doubt who I am. I will wear the identity heaven prepared for me." You are announcing to your own soul and to every unseen realm that you are ready. Do not underestimate the power of your own agreement. A crown unclaimed remains unseen, but when you speak it out, you step into alignment with heaven's decree. That is when the invisible becomes visible, and the promise becomes reality. Chosen one. Your crown is waiting. It shines with the light of every battle you endured. It carries the weight of every tear you shed. And tomorrow, as the shift arrives, you will not just hear of victory, you will wear it. But remember this, crowns are not given in secret. They are placed in public so that witnesses can see what perseverance looks like. When God places the crown upon your head, it will not only lift you, it will speak to those who once doubted you. They will see with their own eyes that faith was never in vain. And your crown is not fragile. It is not something that can be stolen by envy or tarnished by criticism. It is forged in fire, sealed by endurance, and secured by heaven. That is why you must wear it boldly. without apology. Lift your head high. Walk into tomorrow, knowing that what you carry is not ordinary, it is eternal. The crown upon you is heaven's declaration. This one has endured. This one has overcome. This one is mine. Acceleration. That is the word over your life in this season. What once felt slow, what once dragged on for years, is about to move swiftly. The hand of God is not bound by time. When He decides to move, things that seemed impossible yesterday suddenly become natural today. Chosen one. You may look back and wonder why the wait was so long, but heaven works in rhythms, not in rushes. What seemed delayed was really preparation. God was arranging the stage, fine-tuning the details, ensuring that when the curtain finally opened, everything would be ready. And now, the pace is changing. Tomorrow, you will sense it. Time itself will feel different, because God has placed acceleration on your steps. The prophet declared in the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 22, "The least of you will become 1,000, the smallest a mighty nation. I am the Lord. In its time, I will do this swiftly." This is the picture of acceleration, where God takes what looks small, overlooked, delayed, and multiplies it suddenly, beyond human explanation. Think of a river frozen in winter. For months it looks lifeless, still, locked in silence. But then spring comes. The ice breaks, and water rushes forward with unstoppable speed. That is the shift happening in your life. For too long it has seemed frozen, but the thaw has begun. The river will run again, and it will not trickle, it will rush. Or picture a bow pulled back tightly. The longer it is stretched, the more power is stored. When the release comes, the arrow does not creep forward, it flies. That is you. The years of tension were not wasted. They were storing momentum. Now, when God releases you, you will not crawl into destiny, you will soar. Acceleration also means restoration. What you thought was lost, time will be redeemed. Opportunities that slipped away will reappear, multiplied. People will look at your story and say, "How did it happen so fast?" But you will know it was not fast, it was divine timing. God simply chose to compress what would have taken years into a moment. Now, let me pause and speak to your heart. If this word is stirring your spirit, if you feel this acceleration aligning with your journey, then I gently invite you to respond. Press like, share this message, subscribe, because every ripple of this word carries light to someone else. And if you feel led, consider this. Acceleration is like a fire catching wind. It spreads farther when more fuel is added. Your support, even through a donation, is like adding wood to the fire. It is never demanded, never forced. It is simply an invitation to partner in what heaven is already doing. Just as a single lamp burns brighter when oil is poured in, your generosity helps this light reach farther. But hear me, your miracle does not depend on what you give. God's promises are not for sale. This is not a condition, it is an opportunity. Supporting this work is not a burden, it is a joy, a voluntary act. A beautiful way to say, let this flame keep burning for others too. N1. There is a story of a farmer who sowed seed into dry ground. People laughed, saying nothing could grow there. Yet rain came, and his field produced more than anyone expected. That is what happens when you give your seed falls into eternal ground. And the harvest it produces will ripple into lives you may never meet. Even if you choose simply to listen quietly, know this: God sees your heart. Your tomorrow is already marked for acceleration. Nothing can take that from you. But if you feel the gentle nudge to act, whether through a like, a share, a subscription, or a gift, let it be out of love, not obligation. For when love fuels giving, it becomes worship. Chosen one. Tomorrow will not creep toward you slowly. It will rush in like a tide. And when it comes, you will know that the years were not wasted, they were multiplied. You will see doors opening faster than you can step through them, connections forming without effort, opportunities aligning without struggle. The long night is over. The dawn is not just rising, it is racing toward you. What once dragged will now accelerate. What once seemed distant will suddenly be within reach. And when people ask how it all happened, you will smile, because you know the truth. It was not luck, not coincidence. It was the God of acceleration moving in your life. There are moments in history when chains that seemed unbreakable suddenly shatter. Moments where cycles that lasted for generations are cut off in a single act of divine power. Chosen one. You are standing in such a moment. The breaking of chains is not just a phrase, it is the reality of what God is doing in your life. For too long, you have felt the weight of patterns repeating. The same struggles your family carried seem to find their way to you. Cycles of poverty, fear, rejection, or shame tried to pass from one generation to the next. It almost felt inevitable, as though you were bound to live out what others before you could not escape. But hear this clearly: the chain ends with you. Scripture reminds us in the book of Galatians, chapter 5, verse 1, "It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm, then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery." Oh, those words are not abstract, they are your inheritance. Freedom is your portion, not bondage. Victory is your reality, not defeat. Every chain, no matter how ancient, must bow to the authority of Christ in you. Think of an iron shackle rusted by years of use. At first glance, it looks unbreakable, but rust weakens metal, and with one decisive strike, it falls apart. That is your life right now. The rust of time has already weakened the chains, and heaven's hammer is striking. What seemed unbreakable is crumbling at your feet. There was once a man who grew up under a shadow of addiction. He watched his father and grandfather fall to the same struggles, and he feared he was destined to repeat the pattern. But one night, in the stillness of prayer, he felt something break inside him. The cravings that once bound him lost their grip. Years later, he looked back and realized that his life had become the turning point. What destroyed his family line no longer had authority over his children. He had become the one to break the chain. Chosen one. That story mirrors your calling. You are not merely surviving struggles, you are rewriting legacy. The battles you have endured were never just about you. They were about your children, and their children, and everyone connected to your obedience. Where the chain breaks, blessing begins to flow. Imagine a dam holding back a river. For years, the water presses against it, yet it holds. But then, one small crack appears. Pressure builds. and suddenly the dam collapses, releasing the flood. That is what happens when chains break. What was held back for years is suddenly released, flooding your life with freedom, favor, and joy. Chosen one. The enemy wanted you to believe you were powerless. He whispered that you were just like those before you. But he lied. The truth is, you are the interruption to generational cycles. You are the one heaven chose to say, "This far and no further." And notice this, chains do not break quietly. When they fall, they make noise. The breaking of chains in your life will be visible. Those who knew you before will see the change. Those who doubted you will witness the transformation. Your testimony will not be whispered, it will be a declaration. But freedom also requires responsibility. Once the chain is broken, you must choose not to return to it. Just as a bird freed from a cage must spread its wings, you must walk boldly in your liberty. Freedom is not just release, it is flight. Picture a butterfly emerging from its cocoon. The struggle to break free is intense, but it strengthens the wings. If the cocoon were cut open too soon, the butterfly would never fly. The resistance was necessary for strength. In the same way, the struggle you endured has equipped you. Now that the chain is breaking, you will not only walk free, you will soar. Chosen one. Tomorrow, you will notice it. The desires that once controlled you will loosen. The fears that once silenced you will lose their voice. The shame that once weighed you will lift. You are not who you were, and you will never be again. The chain has been broken. Freedom is here, and where freedom is, nothing can bind you again. Do not be surprised if tomorrow feels lighter, as though an invisible weight has been lifted. That is the evidence of release. What once haunted your nights will no longer follow you. What once silenced your voice will no longer hold power. You are stepping forward, not as a captive, but as a conqueror. Confirmation. That is what heaven is releasing in this moment. You have walked through seasons of doubt, wondering if the promises spoken over your life were truly yours. You have questioned if the dreams in your heart were planted by God or just your imagination. But now, the time has come for clarity. Heaven does not speak in confusion. Heaven confirms. Chosen one. Your spirit has already felt the stirring. Deep down, you know that tomorrow carries something extraordinary. Yet God, in His kindness, provides signs so you will not waver. When the sign comes, it is not to convince Him of your readiness, it is to convince you. He knows the destiny you carry. He knows the path prepared for you. The confirmation is given, so your faith will rise. The ancient words in the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 1, verse 20, remind us, for no matter how many promises God has made, they are yes in Christ. And so through Him, the Amen is spoken by us to the glory of God. Every promise is still alive. None have expired. None have been withdrawn. The confirmation of heaven is the seal that says, yes, this word belongs to you. Yes, this is your season. Yes, tomorrow will carry change. Think of a letter sealed with wax. Until the seal is pressed, the letter cannot be opened. But once the seal is marked, the message inside is validated. That is what confirmation does. It is heaven's seal, declaring, open what I have written for you. The time has come. And there was once a woman who prayed for years, for a breakthrough in her family, she often wondered if her prayers were heard. One day, while reading scripture, she came across a verse she had never noticed before, and it echoed the exact words she had been praying. In that moment, she knew it was her confirmation. Shortly after, doors opened, and the miracle she had long awaited arrived. Your life is on the edge of the same experience. God has been weaving signs into your path, conversations that echo your prayers, messages that mirror your thoughts, doors that align with your needs. Pay attention, for the confirmation is already appearing. Imagine a lighthouse in the distance. To a sailor lost at sea, it is more than light, it is certainty. It proves land is near. That is what this confirmation will be for you. Not just hope, but certainty. Not just a wish, but proof that you are near your destination. Chosen one. You are not wandering blindly. You are not chasing illusions. You are walking on the path heaven carved for you. The confirmation is the compass pointing you forward. Now, as a prophetic act, I invite you to write in the comments the number 222. This number is not random. It symbolizes alignment, confirmation, and agreement with heaven's timing. By writing 222, you are declaring, I accept the confirmation. I align with the promises of God. I walk into tomorrow with certainty, not doubt. It is not about digits on a screen, it is about faith made visible. It is your way of echoing heaven's yes with your own Amen. So tomorrow, when the shift arrives, you will not hesitate. You will know it is yours. The confirmation has been given. The seal has been marked. And nothing can take from you what God has prepared. Chosen one. Rest tonight, knowing that you are not stepping into uncertainty. You are stepping into fulfillment. The sign is clear. The confirmation is secure. And your miracle is already in motion. Do not be surprised if little things begin to echo your prayers. A phrase in a song, a verse you have never noticed, a conversation that mirrors exactly what you have been thinking. These are not coincidences, they are divine confirmations. Fingerprints of God reminding you that His eyes are on you. And this confirmation is not only for assurance, it is for strength. Because when tomorrow unfolds and new doors open, you will need the courage to step through them. Confirmation is heaven's way of saying, walk boldly, do not hesitate, for this is truly yours. Picture a judge striking the gavel. The case is settled. The decision made. That is what confirmation does. It ends the debate inside your heart. No more wondering if you are worthy. No more doubting if the promise belongs to you. The gavel has struck. The word over your life is final. Yes. This one is chosen. Yes. This one is ready. Amen. So tonight, let your heart rest. Let your spirit exhale. The sign is already given. The seal already pressed. And tomorrow, you will not walk in questions, you will walk in answers. There is a moment when every chosen one must rise, not in silence, not in hiding, but in the fullness of the authority given by God. You have walked through valleys, endured storms, and survived seasons of crushing weight. Each trial was not meant to bury you. It was training ground for the warrior you are becoming. And now, the call is sounding. It is time to rise. Rising as a warrior does not mean you never felt afraid. It means you refuse to let fear dictate your steps. It means you stood even when your knees shook. It means you chose obedience over comfort. That is the mark of a true warrior, not perfection, but persistence. The Word of God reminds us in the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 3, "I will give you every place where you set your foot," as he promised Moses. Those words carry authority. They tell you that your steps are not random, they are prophetic. Every place your feet touch becomes claimed for the kingdom. When you rise as the warrior, you shift atmospheres. You take territory. You bring light into darkness. Think of a torchbearer in a vast cave. The deeper they walk, the more shadows scatter. The cave does not change because of the torch itself, but because of the one who carries it. That is you. The fire inside you is not for decoration. It is a weapon against the dark. There was once a man who struggled with insecurity all his life. He believed he was too small, too weak, too unqualified. But when the moment of battle came, he chose to step forward anyway. In that instant, courage rose within him, and he became a leader others looked to for strength. He realized then that warriors are not born from confidence. They are born from choosing courage again and again. Chosen one. Rising as a warrior means you no longer hide the strength God placed within you. It means you stop apologizing for your light. It means you take your place on the battlefield, knowing that heaven fights with you. Imagine an eagle stretching its wings. For a long time it may perch, watching from the heights. But there comes a moment when it must leap. The wind may look intimidating, the drop beneath terrifying. But once the wings spread, the eagle discovers it was born to ride the storm. That is your destiny. The leap may feel frightening, but once you rise, you will realize you were built for this. The warrior spirit within you does not rise for selfish gain. It rises because others need your light. A true warrior fights not only for survival, but for those connected to their destiny. Your rising is not just about your story, it is about the countless lives tied to your obedience. Consider how David stood before Goliath. The giant was not only mocking him, he was mocking a nation. David's courage was not just for himself, it was for everyone hiding in fear. In the same way, when you rise, your courage becomes contagious. Others who thought they could not stand will find strength through your example. Chosen one, hear this truth. Your scars are not a weakness, they are your weapons. The pain you endured has equipped you with empathy, with discernment, with resilience. The very battles that tried to destroy you have armed you for the wars ahead. You are not empty-handed. You carry weapons forged in the fire of your trials. Picture iron placed in flames. At first, it weakens and bends, but under the hammer, it is shaped into a sword. That is what has been happening to you. Every blow, every heat, every strike was forming you into a weapon fit for heaven's purposes. Now, the sword is ready, and the warrior is rising. Tomorrow, you will not walk timidly. You will not shrink back in fear. You will rise with clarity, with boldness, with fire in your eyes. The warrior within you has been awakened, and nothing will silence it again. The time of hiding is over. The time of rising has come. And as you step forward, remember this: you are not alone. All of heaven stands with you. The victory is already written, and your role is simply to walk into it. Chosen one, rise as the warrior you were always meant to be. Do not question whether you are ready. Your preparation has already taken place in the hidden seasons. Every sleepless night, every unseen tear, every prayer whispered in silence has been sharpening your spirit. Now, as the call comes, you will discover that strength was within you all along. Rise not with arrogance, but with assurance. Rise not with fear, but with fire. For the ground beneath your feet has been promised, and heaven has already gone before you. There are seasons when heaven seems silent, when the prayers you send upward echo back with no reply. These stretches of quiet can feel unbearable, as though you are walking through endless nights without a star to guide you. Yet silence does not mean absence. Silence often means preparation. Chosen one, you have experienced this silence. You have cried out and wondered if heaven was listening. You have knocked and thought no one was at the door. Yet behind the silence, God was arranging what you could not see. Just as a seed is buried in the soil, hidden and unseen, so your destiny was being formed in secret places. The writings in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, remind us, "For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay." Silence is not denial, it is timing. What looks like delay is simply the appointed moment not yet arriving. And tomorrow, as the shift begins, you will realize that the quiet was never wasted. It was the womb of your miracle. Think of an artist painting on a canvas. In the beginning, the strokes seem random, the colors unfinished, the picture unclear. But the artist is not done yet. Only when the final strokes are laid does the full beauty emerge. That is how God has been working in your silence. To others, it may have looked like nothing was happening, but to heaven, every brushstroke was essential. Every pause was purposeful. There was once a woman who felt forgotten. For years, she prayed for restoration. Yet silence met her at every turn. But as time passed, she realized the silence was not empty. It was strengthening her faith. When her breakthrough finally arrived, she saw clearly. The silence had built her into someone capable of carrying the blessing. Chosen one, your silence has been a classroom. In it, you learned resilience. In it, you discovered the strength of patience. In it, you found a faith not based on constant answers, but rooted in unwavering trust. Silence is not wasted when it produces depth. Imagine the moment before dawn. The world feels the darkest just before the first rays of light appear. It is as though creation itself holds its breath, waiting for the sun to break through. That is what your silence has been. It was not the end of your story, it was the pause before glory. And in that pause, God was not idle. He was weaving threads of purpose together, aligning people, preparing places, arranging timing. He was setting the stage so that when your miracle arrives, there will be no doubt it came from His hand. Chosen one, tomorrow you will look back and thank God for the silence. Without it, you would not have discovered the strength hidden within you. Without it, you would not have recognized the sound of His true voice. Silence was never your enemy, it was your shaping. Picture a cocoon. From the outside, it seems lifeless, even still, but inside, transformation is taking place. The creature within is being reshaped, prepared for flight. The silence of the cocoon is not death, it is destiny. And when the time is right, the shell breaks and wings unfold. That is you. The silence you endured was not to bury you, it was to prepare your wings. Chosen one. Never confuse quiet with abandonment. The God who seemed silent was always present. His stillness was not neglect, but intention. His delay was not rejection, but preparation. And now, as tomorrow approaches, you will see the fruit of every quiet moment. You are not stepping out empty-handed. You are stepping out refined. You are not leaving the silence broken. You are leaving it equipped. You carry wisdom others cannot understand, strength others cannot explain, and faith others cannot shake. The silence is over. The dawn has come. Tomorrow, when the light breaks, you will see what was hidden in the quiet. God was working all along. And when you look back, you will realize the silence was not empty. It was sacred. It was the place where roots grew deeper, where your spirit toughened, where your ears were trained to hear whispers instead of noise. Chosen one. Many cannot endure silence, but you did. That is why tomorrow belongs to you. The same stillness that once felt heavy has now become your strength. You emerge from it not weaker, but stronger, not lost, but more certain of who you are and whose you are. Unstoppable. That is what you are becoming. Not because life has been easy, not because battles have been absent, but because everything that once tried to crush you has only made you stronger. Chosen one. The time has come for you to rise as a leader of light, not hidden, not forgotten, but visible, a living testimony that darkness never wins. You are not stepping into this alone. All of heaven stands behind you, and your scars have become your strength. The crown is not waiting in the distance anymore. It is being placed on your head. And when you wear it, you carry the responsibility not only of your own survival, but of leading others into freedom. The Word of God declares in the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 37, "No, in all these things we are more than conquerors through Him who loved us." This is not simply a verse to encourage, it is a decree. It means you are not just a survivor, but more than that. You carry a conquering spirit that cannot be silenced. You carry resilience forged in the fire of every storm you walk through. Think of a lighthouse standing on a rocky shore. Waves crash against it. Winds beat upon it. Storms rage around it. Yet it remains unmoved. Not because the storm is weak, but because the foundation runs deep. That is you. Life has raged against you, but you remain standing. And now, your light does more than keep you safe. It guides others home. There was once a man who thought his story was over. He had lost everything, and shame weighed heavy on him. Yet when he finally turned his face upward, something shifted, slowly, step by step. He rebuilt his life. What once was ashes became a tower of strength. Years later, others found hope simply by hearing how he endured. His life became a roadmap for others. That is leadership birthed from pain. It is unstoppable. Chosen one. Your story has not been wasted. Every battle, every sleepless night, every prayer whispered in silence has prepared you to shine in this moment. You are not here by chance. You are here because the world needs the light you carry. And this is where I pause to speak to your heart. If you feel this word breathing life into your spirit, let your response be like planting seeds in fertile soil. When you press like, share this message, subscribe, or even give. You are not performing a duty. You are releasing light. It is not about obligation. It is about overflow. Think of it this way. A fire burns brighter when more wood is added. A garden grows wider when seeds are scattered generously. Your support is wood for the fire, seed for the garden. It keeps the flame alive and ensures that more chosen ones, people just like you, find this same light when they are lost in darkness. And remember, generosity is never forced. A flower does not strain to bloom. It opens naturally in the sunlight. In the same way, giving flows best when it rises from love. If you choose to do so, let it be beautiful, free, and full of joy, an act of worship, not obligation. Whether your response is silent reflection or active sharing, heaven sees it. And if you do donate, let it be like a drop of water on parched ground, bringing life not only to this moment, but to countless others who will be refreshed by your gift. That is the power of free will. Giving it multiplies in unseen ways. Chosen one, you are unstoppable, not only because you endured, but because you now inspire. The same courage that brought you through will spill over into the lives of those who cross your path. You are not just living for yourself. You are a lighthouse for others still in the storm. Picture an orchestra tuning before the music begins. Each instrument sounds alone at first, scattered and unfinished. But when they align, the melody is breathtaking. That is what happens when chosen ones rise together. Each act of support, each word of encouragement, each testimony shared, these are the notes that create a song of hope for the world. And tomorrow, that song becomes louder. You will not walk quietly anymore. You will stand tall, crowned, radiant, unstoppable. The world will see in you the proof that God's promises do not fail. So lift your head high, warrior of light. Wear your crown boldly. Shine without apology. Because you are not only chosen, you are unstoppable. And nothing will silence the fire within you. The early miracle, that is what tomorrow carries for you. Not a distant promise, not a vague hope, but a manifestation arriving sooner than expected. Heaven has accelerated your timeline. What others said would take years is already standing at your door. Chosen one, you have waited, prayed, endured, and pressed through seasons that seemed endless. At times, you almost convinced yourself that delay was your destiny. Yet delay was never the final word. Destiny was. And destiny has always been on schedule, even when your eyes could not see it. The scriptures remind us in the book of Isaiah, chapter 46, verse 11, what I have said, that I will bring about, what I have planned, that I will do. This promise means your tomorrow is not a gamble, it is a certainty. The words spoken over you are not fragile wishes, they are decrees sealed by heaven. Think of a farmer who watches the sky for rain, day after day. The ground stays dry. People mock, saying nothing will grow. But then, one morning, clouds gather, and rain falls not late, not delayed, but right on time. The fields drink, the seeds burst, and the harvest begins. That is what the early miracle looks like, unexpected to some, undeniable to you. There was once a woman who had long given up on her dream. She told herself it was too late, that the window had closed. But one day, An opportunity arrived at her door. Not only was it the chance she thought had vanished, but it came earlier than she dared to imagine. She realized then that heaven had never forgotten her. It was simply waiting for the right moment to prove that his hand was on her life. Chosen one. Your life is about to reflect the same rhythm. What you thought was lost is not lost. It is being released early. What you thought was denied is not denied. It is being manifested now. Heaven is showing you that miracles are not bound by human timelines. Imagine a river that suddenly overflows its banks. For months, the flow seemed calm, contained, predictable. But then, with little warning, the waters rise, rushing faster and stronger than anyone expected. That is the speed of your miracle. It will not come in trickles, but in a flood. This early miracle is not only for your blessing, it is for your testimony. Others will see it and know that God moves beyond schedules, beyond logic, beyond the limits of human planning. Your miracle will speak louder than your words ever could. Chosen one. Notice how the early miracle also reveals the nature of God. He delights in surprising his children, in showing his goodness sooner than expected. He is not a God of bare minimums. He is a God of abundance, a God who enjoys exceeding expectations. Picture a gift wrapped and placed in your hands before the date you were told it would arrive. At first, you hesitate, thinking, it can't be mine yet. But then you realize it is yours, and it was always meant for now. That is the wonder of an early miracle. Do not let fear whisper that you are not ready. If the miracle has arrived, it means you are ready. God does not deliver before the vessel is prepared. The very fact that tomorrow carries this shift is proof that your heart, your spirit, and your destiny are aligned. Chosen one. Step into tomorrow, expecting, not timidly, not doubting, but confident. Expect the sudden phone call, the unexpected opportunity, the breakthrough conversation. Expect the doors that once refused to open to swing wide. Expect what was delayed to arrive early, because heaven has already marked the moment, and when it comes, do not shrink back in disbelief. Receive it, walk in it, live it. For the early miracle is not just about change, it is about revelation. It reveals that you are seen, that you are chosen, and that God delights in moving on your behalf. Tomorrow is not distant, it is here. The miracle is not postponed, it is arriving. And when you wake, you will know beyond doubt that heaven has gone before you. Chosen one. Your early miracle has already been written. Step into it with open hands and a ready heart. For what is about to unfold will remind you, God is never late. But he loves to arrive early. And when it arrives, let your heart rest in gratitude. Do not question why it came so soon. Simply embrace it. This is God's way of saying, I see you. I honor your endurance. I delight in blessing you beyond expectation. Crowned with glory. That is where your journey has been leading all along. Every step, every tear, every trial was guiding you to this place. And now, the moment has arrived. You are not the same person who began this path. You carry scars. Yes, but you also carry wisdom. You have faced storms. Yes, but you also carry strength. You have walked through fire. Yes, but now you carry fire. Chosen one. The crown is not simply a symbol resting on your head. It is an identity placed deep in your spirit. It is heaven's declaration that you are not only chosen, but established, sealed, and unstoppable. The battles you endured were not in vain. They were the forge that shaped the crown to fit you perfectly. Scripture records in the first letter of Peter, chapter 5, verse 4, "And when the chief shepherd appears, you will receive the crown of glory that will never fade away." This is not a fading honor. It is not like earthly crowns that tarnish with time. It is eternal. It is unshakable. It is the mark of heaven upon your life. Think of a tree standing in the middle of a vast field. Seasons have come and gone, storms stripped its leaves, winters froze its branches, summers dried its roots, yet it still stands, taller and stronger than before. Its survival has become its glory. That is you. What was meant to break you has become your testimony. There was once a man who thought he had nothing left. He had failed too many times, lost too much, and carried shame heavier than hope. But one day, as he sat in silence, he felt a peace cover him. Slowly, step by step, he walked into a new season. Years later, when others looked at him, they no longer saw failure. They saw wisdom, compassion, resilience. They saw glory. His crown was invisible, yet undeniable. That is how the crown works. It is not about gold or jewels. It is about transformation. It is about walking with a light that no darkness can extinguish. It is about carrying authority, born not from pride, but from humility. Imagine gold refined in fire. The impurities burn away. But what remains is brilliance. That is your crown. It carries the shine of every moment you endured, the brilliance of every test you overcame, the glow of every night you refused to give up. Chosen one. Wearing the crown does not mean life will no longer hold challenges. It means challenges can no longer define you. It means you face them differently, no longer as a victim, but as one who already knows the outcome. Victory is your posture, because glory is your covering. And tomorrow, when you step forward, crowned with glory, others will notice. They may not understand why you carry such peace, why your eyes shine with such confidence, why your steps feel so steady, but you will know it is the evidence of God's hand upon you. The crown is also a mantle. It is not only for recognition, but for responsibility. You are called to carry hope for others, to stand as a beacon for those still walking through shadows. Your testimony is not just your own, it is a torch passed to others. Picture a runner carrying a flame in a relay. The flame is not only for them, it is meant to be passed, to continue burning beyond their own race. That is what your crown symbolizes. You are entrusted with glory, not to keep it hidden, but to let it inspire. Chosen one. You are crowned, not in weakness, but in power. You are crowned not because of luck, but because of faith. You are crowned not for a moment, but for eternity. Lift your head high. Let the crown rest firmly upon you. Do not shrink back. Do not apologize. Do not doubt. The one who chose you has also crowned you, and his declaration cannot be undone. Crowned with glory. You step into tomorrow. Crowned with glory. You walk into destiny. Crowned with glory. You rise as the unstoppable chosen one you were always meant to be. And as you rise, remember this: the crown is not fragile. It will not slip from your head when storms come. It will not fade when voices doubt you. It is secured by the hand of God Himself. Wear it boldly, not as decoration, but as identity. For when others see the light upon you, they will know glory rests where heaven has spoken. Chosen one, you have reached the end of this word. But in truth, it is only the beginning of your tomorrow. Every line you have heard was never random. It was heaven's reminder that your miracle is already moving toward you. The weight you once carried has been lifted, and in its place rests courage, promise, and glory. When you press like, share this message, or subscribe, you are not just interacting, you are extending the flame. Picture it as passing a torch into the hands of another who may be waiting in the shadows. Your simple act could keep their hope alive. And if this word touched you, comment below, not as routine, but as testimony. It is like engraving your name in the stone of this moment, declaring, I was here, I believe, I receive. Your words may be the echo that helps another soul rise. And if your heart feels stirred, a donation becomes a seed planted in eternal soil. Like water poured on dry ground, it nurtures more lives than you may ever see. No one is forced. This is not obligation. It is a free, beautiful choice to keep the fire burning for others. Chosen one, tomorrow is not ordinary. It is your shift, your acceleration, your early miracle. Step into it boldly. Shine without apology, and let the world witness the light you carry.